Ready?
No.
I was going to check out a screening tonight for The Imitation Game, which we were going to go see, but for some reason, our town hasn't gotten it yet. I think they're actually going to get... I guess when it was released, it was only released in limited theaters. But I think it's going to get a bigger release in a week or two. So with any luck, we'll get to see it soon. But we haven't gotten the chance to see it yet. But today... no Arnold, no Sinbad, no Jake Lloyd. Instead we get Larry the Cable Guy. Jingle All The Way 2. I actually did grow up watching Jingle All The Way. It's not a good movie, but it's nostalgic for me, and Arnold I thought was pretty funny in it. So I actually do have fond memories of the first Jingle All The Way. This movie sucked.
This was a piece of crap.
This was terrible. I mean, what more would you expect? But also just WWE doing family comedies. It's not the first time they've done it. It probably won't be the last. This, yeah, as you could probably imagine, calling this a sequel to Jingle All The Way is very loose. I mean,
you can't call it a sequel if it doesn't have anything to do with the first one.
It has the similarities between this and the first Jingle All The Way is that it's about a father trying to get their child a gift that is sold out in their town for Christmas. That's the similarity, but it's done very differently.
It's a similar premise.
Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna guess that WWE. You know, they're making more and more movies every year. I'm going to guess WWE wanted to make a kid-friendly Christmas film in December. They wanted to release one in December. And they somehow got the rights to the Jingle All The Way title. And so they decided to slap on Jingle All The Way 2 as the title. And they got Larry the Cable Guy in it.
Because of course.
And they got one of their wrestlers in it. And the movie is awful. So... I have a lot of notes. Let's dive in. So in this movie, Larry the Cable Guy is the main character, and his name in the movie is Larry, and he has this daughter, and he's divorced, and his ex-wife is married to this super rich snob.
But they're like on good terms for some reason, like really.
Larry and his ex-wife are on really good terms
for some reason.
But Larry, the whole movie is really Larry and the stepdad competing to be the superior father to the daughter. Now this daughter, this actress, now I have to be the jerk. She's really young, but my gosh,
oh, she was awful.
Just awful.
Oh, like every time she speaks, it's just like
it was terrible, and just terrible.
Like she had to be reading off cue cards or something.
Absolutely. Like, you know what? I want Jake Lloyd back.
Oh,
you never thought anyone would say that, but give me back Jake Lloyd.
There was one point early in the movie when she's talking, and he was just like, "Slap her."
It's just,
it was so
all
bad.
I want for Christmas is my parents to be together.
Oh man, it was bad.
And the scenes in the beginning, like the whole movie is just like Larry making a stupid joke, him laughing at his joke, and the daughter laughing.
The comedy of this movie presented by Larry is very much his stand-up.
It's just Larry. It's Larry being
his stand-up rubbing off.
It's Larry being Larry.
Yeah.
For better or worse. I'll admit, there were a couple lines he had, which I'm going to guess were improvised. I'm going to guess he improvised a lot of his lines. A couple of his mannerisms were kind of funny. A couple of his lines were kind of worth a chuckle. But most of it, especially when people are laughing at the joke, so they can tell us, the audience, hey, this guy's really funny. That kills the mood. Not that they were funny jokes to begin with.
Yeah,
but And
to kill a mood, there has to be a mood.
The chemistry between Larry and his daughter is terrible because on one hand, you have this little girl who can't act, who is making no sense half the time she's talking because she's like, and then you have Larry talking back going, well, you know, he hurt me over here. So you have two people bantering back and forth, neither of which you can understand at all. So
and their chemistry, to me, like every scene that you see them in, it's just like Larry makes a stupid joke and she goes hee 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 hee, and then she goes, "You're the best dad."
There's
ever.
absolutely no conflict in this movie at all with Larry and his daughter. The conflict is Larry and the stepdad. In the first Jingle All The Way, Arnold Schwarzenegger is trying to be a better father to Jake Lloyd because he has been so focused on his work that he hasn't been putting enough care and thought into what his son wants. So to try to make a last-minute effort to make things better, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go out and get this toy that Jamie really, really wants for Christmas. And I don't care what it takes. I'm going to prove that I love him by doing something for him. In this movie, there is no conflict like that. The conflict is just one dad trying to be better than the other one, and one trying to beat the other one and outwit the other one. And it's the most, and it's stupid. It's unrealistic. So cliche. So the plot of the movie is Larry reads his daughter's letter to Santa, and the letter says I'm not gonna actually remember exactly, but basically the letter has like bad spelling in it because she's just a little girl. It's hard to read.
Like really bad spelling and bad grammar.
And so based on what he could get from the letter, he thinks that what she wants for Christmas is this really popular teddy bear. And the teddy bear, it's like basically this movie's Turbo Man. It's like selling out everywhere.
It is. It's not basically. It is this movie.
It's the equivalent, yeah. And you know what? Okay, say what you will about Turbo Man. You know, and a lot of people have said that they think the first Jingle All The Way was just a way for them to try to actually sell the Turbo Man action figure they made in real life. And that's a fair statement. Turbo Man, I don't know. It makes sense because that was during a time when superhero action figures were really popular. So it was during, and also that was also during a time when toys were getting sold out a lot and toy stores weren't as on top of getting a good enough stock for Christmas, and people were competitive. Like, it made more sense at that time period to make a movie like that.
Yeah, this is just a talking teddy bear.
All this is a teddy bear where you talk to it and it talks back, which that's been around for decades. That's not new. That kind of toy has been around for decades.
This is shocking, but I don't think they wrote that very well.
Yeah. And what's funny is they make it into such a big deal, though. This whole movie is trying to sell us that this teddy bear is, like, groundbreaking. Like, we'll get to the clerk in a moment, but this clerk who's trying to pitch it to Larry is like, this teddy bear, he talks back to you! He talks back to you! Like, as if it's the biggest thing ever for toys. So, Larry thinks, oh my gosh, what she wants is that teddy bear. I gotta get the teddy bear. So the stepdad realizes this, and the stepdad is super rich, so he's like, I gotta do something to sabotage this and, you know, make him look bad and make me look good, because I'm the bad guy of the movie.
Because I want the daughter to love me more than him or something.
So the stepdad calls his sociopathic henchman. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering...
we're not even kidding here.
If you're wondering what the stepdad does for a living to make him so rich, he runs a box company.
A box company.
And he has a
company that makes cardboard boxes.
Yes. And he's a gazillionaire. And he calls his henchman,
Head of security,
who I think does hit jobs. And I will say...
That whole phone conversation is just hilarious.
It's kind of like, okay, I will say, that guy's... I don't know who that guy is, but the guy that plays the henchman, he takes it so seriously. I was kind of into it almost. I was like, I feel like this guy really wants to be in an action film, but instead he's in this. And he was great.
When the guy he's like, I need you to go to every single store and buy all the bears, and the guy's like, absolutely,
he's
sir.
like, you got it, sir. And he's like,
excellent.
What are you doing, chubby? Like, so yeah, the stepdad's plan is hire the henchmen to go to every toy store in town and buy out the thousands of teddy bears in stock so Larry cannot possibly get his hands on one. And which brings up that this guy, this stepdad, is spending thousands upon thousands of dollars to get every single one of these teddy bears just for this little, like, hey, this will make him look bad and make me look good plot.
Yep.
First of all, worst boss ever. Worst, like CEO of a company ever. Second of all, this guy's a moron. And also, like, during the scenes when this henchman is going store to store, he goes to the store.
It's almost got a weird, stupid montage feel.
There's a lot of montages in this movie, and they're very poorly edited.
Yeah.
And the transitions in this movie are also poorly edited. Like, the transitions have, like, swipes and stuff. Like, it's very Premiere Pro looking, just very cheap looking. Like, it looks like it was edited together by, like, a high schooler. Like, in computer class. You know what? It might have been done by, like an intern or something that was at WWE. So, like, every time this guy goes into a store and buys up the teddy bears, 5 minutes later, Larry the Cable Guy goes into that exact same store and, sorry, we're sold out. But it's like...
So the guy knows exactly.
Yeah, how does this henchman know which store he's going to next? According to this movie, this small town has like 30 toy stores.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what store he's going to, but, whatever. And, so... Well, now we can get to the best character of the movie.
Oh, no.
So Larry goes into a toy store, and there's this clerk that basically tells him all about this teddy bear. And the clerk's name is Jeffrey. And this dude is on crack. Like, this guy
He is so happy.
He is so ecstatic. And he's always like, hi, welcome to Toys, blah, blah, blah. I'm Jeffrey. And Larry's like, well, I'm looking to get myself a teddy bear for my daughter on Christmas. And he's like, I know just the toy to give. It's this toy. And he's just, like, yelling the whole movie. And I was like, this guy is crazy. There's a lot of, like, sociopaths in this movie. And so we'll get back to him in a minute. But he keeps popping up throughout the film.
Happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah,
yeah.
happy Kwanzaa.
So there is a wrestler.
Winter solstice.
So there is a wrestler in this movie, because it's WWE. There is a wrestler, and it's Santino Marella, who I haven't been following too much of the newer wrestling that's been going on lately. At least not WWE. I haven't watched a WWE episode of Raw in like a long time. But I guess he's fairly well known. He's got to be if he's in this movie. But Santino Marella's performance is not good, but it's kind of entertaining because he's kind of over the top. Like, he doesn't have that many lines, but he's kind of over the top. Like, there's a part where Larry is trying...
Well, he's like Larry's buddy.
Yeah,
it never really explains how they know each other.
We don't know who this guy is. We don't know if he has family. We don't know if what he does for a living. He just constantly hangs out with Larry the whole film. He's just there.
He's kind of like the comic relief.
But Larry's the comic relief.
I don't know.
But, I mean, yeah, so, like, when they see the teddy bear commercial for the first time, and they're like, it's a teddy bear that talks to you, because that's so new. Santino says, man, I wish I had one of those when I was a kid.
Oh, no, I forgot.
And then there's my favorite line, actually, no, my second favorite line of his is Larry's the stepdad, who's, like, a billionaire. He puts up all these gorgeous looking Christmas lights on his mansion, and they all go outside, and he's like, ready? All right, here are the lights, and it looks great, and the daughter is like, whoa! So Larry is jealous, so Larry's like, I gotta one-up him. So Larry decks out his trailer with all these Christmas lights.
Of course he lives in a trailer.
Yeah, of course he does. So he decks out his trailer with all these over-the-top Christmas lights, and when he shows them, and they're like, whoa, Santino in the background really goes, it's glorious. It's like, what the heck is with this guy? And look, you know what? Wrestlers get a bad rep for acting there are some good wrestlers turned actors. Santino is just not one of them. But there was one other really offline where early in the film when Larry has his daughter's letter to Santa, he hasn't read it yet, but he's about to.
Oh no!
And Santino literally comes into the scene. He's like, "Oh, hey Larry, what you up to?" He's like, "Well, I'm just about to take my daughter's letter and give it, to the post office, but I kind of want to read it so I know what she wants for Christmas."
And he gets super serious.
I guess his roid rage started to kick in because he's still just like, "You cannot read that letter. That letter is for Santa. If you read that, so help me God, I'm gonna," he's like,
that's a federal thing.
That's a federal. It's like, what is this guy's
And then he's
deal?
like, I got my own letters to send in here, and if I hear you mess with these, then I'm gonna get you.
I was like, what? And this never gets
35.
If you're wondering, this never gets brought up again. So I want to play this. So there is a wrestler, and he's weird. So the whole movie, almost all the movie is Larry's trying to get this teddy bear. The henchman keeps getting it, and so Larry does all these goofy antics to try to get it. Always fails. Always comes out short. There's some really bad CGI at parts. There's some weird CGI.
And parts with CGI that don't even need CGI.
There's a scene where Larry gets electrocuted, of course, and when it cuts to him, there's smoke all over him, but it's CGI'd, and it looked weird.
It looked terrible.
There's also a shot where it shows, it's a transition shot, and it shows a road, and it shows snow, but the snow is clearly digital. And it just, again, it was like, if you can't do it, just don't do it at all, because it looks weird. So there was that, and...
and then there's a part later in the film where Larry goes to the stepdad's business, and you see his truck, because of course he drives a truck, and you see him pulling up to the business, which is in this big glass building, and it was so obviously green screened.
Yeah, it looked green screen. It was weird.
And it looks stupid, but it's like, why? What is the point of that? I mean...
Yeah, some of the antics that he does are just really just predictable by the book, and the way how it always comes off short is, again, so poorly written, and it's so manipulative.
And every time that something happens to him, you and I would look at each other and it's like, well, but this is gonna happen, and that's exactly what happened.
It was just
there's this one part where
there's a lot of filler
where he shovels all this snow into a trailer because he's gonna take it to his daughter so she can have
because the town she lives in has no snow. The area she lives in has no snow.
So the stepfather makes fake snow. So Larry wants to take a real snow. So he's sitting
trying to one-up her.
He's sitting behind the trailer and he's like, You ready to see all this snow? And we looked at each other and I was like, I bet it's going to be water or something. And he opens it up and...
Again, more CGI.
And it was all CGI.
It was Evan Almighty style of CGI. So, what else was I about to... Hang on.
Can we talk about the best character and his best part in the movie?
Yeah, we actually, we're okay, yeah, so we'll cut that. So, pretty late into the film, Larry is pretty much out of ideas because he's tried everything to get the bear, and it's not working. And so then he gets this call by a mysterious man, and he's like, you want...
And he's using a voicifier, a thing that makes your voice sound
and
weird, which is weird.
And he's always like, I can get you a bear. Bring $500 and go to this junkyard at midnight. So he goes, and Santino goes with him. And so if you're wondering, this scene, here's another similarity to the first Jingle All The Way. This scene is kind of like when all the convict Santas are there with James Belushi, and they basically scam Arnold into buying a cheap, knockoff, not knockoff, but a bootleg of Turbo Man, and he ends up fighting the Santas, and then the police come in. This is kind of like that, only it's shortened to 3 minutes. But so he goes to the junkyard, and it's all creepy. And he's like, I don't know who this is, blah blah. And the guy comes out with a hood over his head, and he's still using the voice thing. And then you realize that it's the psycho clerk from the store who's ecstatic, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's Jeffrey. And then here comes the line of the movie right here. He goes, I wrote it down. Okay. He pops up the hood and it's Jeffrey. And he goes, "It's me, Jeffrey, mild-mannered toy store clerk by day, purveyor of childhood fantasies at night."
What?
That... We had to rewind that because I can't believe someone actually typed that onto a screen. That can be taken in so many ways, mostly wrong ways. Purveyor of childhood fantasies by night. So, okay, so he basically says, like, yeah, I'm a clerk at this toy store, I hate it, but I can steal all these toys and sell them on the black market, which is actually not that bad of a gig when you think about it. And so he's
because he wants Larry to buy the bear for $500.
So again, kind of like the Santas in the first Jingle All The Way. So he says, like, give me the $500, I'll give you the bear. And so Larry says, okay.
Hey, at least it actually speaks English.
Yeah. So exactly. So he gives him the $500. So Larry, let's point out, Larry is aware that this is technically a black market deal. Larry accepts it, gives him the $500. He's about to get the bear, and then the cops come in.
Because of course they do.
The cops come in, and here's what happens. We cut to like 10 minutes later. The clerk is getting arrested, and his midget elf, just like in the first one, gets arrested. All the bears, including the one that Larry was going to get, is now confiscated for evidence.
The money is given back to Larry.
Yeah, the money is given back to Larry.
And not taken for evidence.
And he doesn't get arrested.
And neither does Santino.
They don't get arrested.
Like, and the cops are like nice about it. They're like, sorry about that misunderstanding, sir. Here's your money.
Here's your $500.
Have a good holiday. And it's like, what?
And Larry at one point's like, do you think you can just give me one of those bears? He's like, sorry, sir, they all go to evidence. I'm like, so the money that he used to do this black market deal doesn't, and they don't get arrested.
In the first Jingle All The Way, it was stupid, but at least it was like he pulled that fake thing. And was like,
exactly.
You guys are the
exactly. As stupid
as what that was, it made sense. Kind of made sense.
Yeah, as stupid and unrealistic as the Santa Claus scene in Jingle All The Way is, they still acknowledge the fact...
Him getting away with it.
Yeah, they acknowledge the fact that what Arnold is doing is illegal, and they acknowledge that he had to do something to get out of it. Again, as stupid as it was, they acknowledge that. In this one, the police are just like, oh, okay, you're fine, but these guys are getting arrested, and here's your money back. Like, wow. Wow. So then... it's getting close to the climax. Larry figures out that it's been the stepdad this whole time who's been buying all the teddy bears. And so he ends up sneaking into the stock room with the stepdad where all the teddy bears are. They get into a fight and they accidentally lock themselves into the room. And while this is happening, the whole town gets together for this event on Christmas Eve. But then, through a reporter who has not been in the movie at all, literally...
Well, she was the one that was reporting on all the bears, remember?
Oh, she was? Okay.
She was the one that was, like, all the places, like, talking
to
parents and
you're
stuff.
Right. Okay, so she didn't just come out of nowhere.
She's barely been in the movie.
Yeah. She...
Somehow.
Off-screen, off-camera, she pieces it all together. That all these bears... Because other parents have been wanting to get these bears and they can't because they're all sold out. She single-handedly pieces together that this was all done by this box company. And so the whole town like goes into riot over this, and they're all upset. And so so the climax is essentially Larry and the stepdad trapped in this room with all the bears, and at first they fight, and then they talk it over. So the climax is literally them just talking it out and coming to an agreement. And I wrote down, like, you know, it is kind of hard to top Arnold Schwarzenegger in a jetpack flying around the city. I guess they figured they couldn't top that, so they were like, we'll just have the climax be a talking scene.
I guess.
You know what?
And they come to like each other fairly quickly.
Yeah, very, very quickly. So then they end up breaking out of the room with Larry driving a forklift through the wall.
With him on the back.
I guess the stepdad didn't mind causing... Oh, this stepdad's been blowing off money on the teddy bear, so I guess he wouldn't care. And so then the stepdad's like, well, crap, the whole town hates me because they figured out what I did. So Larry comes up with the idea of like making it look like this was all a plan to give all the teddy bears for free to the town. So they do that, and it's like a Santa kind of thing, and the whole town now loves the stepdad, and you know, he and Larry now look good in front of everybody, and everyone's all happy. Hilarious line during this scene. When they bring the semi full of teddy bears into the town square, and Larry's like, we have a great surprise for you. And they open up the door, and all the bears are there. The whole town is like, the whole town's like, whoa!
And then this one dude in the back's like, so many bears!
There's, yeah, everyone in the town's like, whoa! And then this guy who's like in his 40s is like in the back, and literally he just goes, so many bears! It was amazing. So, you know, everyone got a bear, and everything's all great, and Larry and the stepdad are now getting along. So we cut to Christmas, and they're all having Christmas together, and so they give the daughter the bear, which they thought is what she wanted, and then she reveals, no, the letter didn't say that because it had poor spelling on it. It turns out that what she really wanted was just for the family to all be together as one, which I called the moment you see that letter in the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
I was like...
He called it, he did.
Obviously, that's not what she doesn't really want the bear. She wants the family to be together. And that's exactly... It's just... And it's just... That's the thing. This whole movie is just... It's just on coast. It's just...
Well, we also didn't talk about your favorite scene.
What's my favorite scene?
The scene with the little kid.
I'm not talking about that. Okay. I hate that scene.
Okay.
I hate that scene. I hate this movie. This movie sucks.
This is so bad.
This movie is full. I'm not going to talk about this scene.
If you saw Delta Farce, Health Inspector, any of those stupid Larry movies, it feels like that. It really does.
As far as Larry goes, it's just Larry being Larry. If you're a big Larry the Cable Guy fan, you'll probably get some laughs out of it. Everything else about this movie is manipulative and predictable and forced. It's a 90-minute movie that feels like it's 2 hours.
Oh my god.
Because they cram so much into your face within such a short amount of time that it feels like the movie is progressing quickly, when in reality it's progressing very slowly.
I didn't feel like it was going quickly at all. I felt like I was sitting there for like 3 hours.
That's why it feels so long, because there's so many scenes happening within such a quick period of time that it's been like 10 scenes, but it's only been like 5 minutes, you know? And so, I hate this movie! I'm not going to talk about that scene, but there's just a lot of moments where you have annoying kids being annoying. And it's one of those movies where they think if a kid is annoying, that's funny. It's one of those kind of movies. Yeah. Like, he's a brat. Isn't that hilarious? No, it's freaking not. Slap the kid in the face.
Oh, man.
And
then the wife, you know, she's just kind of
generic. Okay. So, I forgot to bring that up. Larry's ex-wife and the stepdad's wife, she is such a nothing character. She probably has...
She's just kind of there.
She has like 15 minutes of screen time. And the whole movie, she has no conflict with anyone. She's literally just like, oh, hey, Larry.
And, and I also love, like, whenever she's in the scene and Larry does something stupid or crazy, she's just kind of like, oh, that's Larry.
That's Larry. Like, she has no conflict. She has no conflict at all in this film. There's... Hurry up this movie! Well, again, they did a better job with that in the first one. Like, in the first one, the wife, Tom Hanks' wife in real life, I always forget her name. You know, in the first one, she's upset with Arnold because he's not spending enough time. He's not giving enough notice to Jamie. So it makes sense. There is conflict within their marriage in that film. And in this one, there is no conflict. The only conflict is one dad is trying to outdo the other dad, and they hate each other, and everyone else in the film is, like, obliviously happy. It's, like, very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd say this either, but like 20 minutes in the film, I was like, I miss Sinbad.
Oh, God, don't say that. Don't say that.
If I had to choose between the two, Sinbad and Jingle All The Way, I thought, was much funnier than Larry in this one.
Well, of course.
But
this is a terrible movie. Well,
the first one was a terrible movie too, but I don't know. I think...
You know what I'm at.
I know. This movie sucked. It sucked. You know what? Like, I actually saw another WWE family comedy a while back called The Chaperone with Triple H. You know, that movie was really cheesy and predictable as well. I don't know. I didn't hate the movie, though. At the end of it, I was like, yeah, this is really standard, poorly made. It was only made because Triple H was the star. But I don't know. There was a certain charm to that movie, at least, and it's very unrealistic, but Triple H was kind of good as the lead. Like, I thought he actually did a good job. And it's about him also trying to... Because the movie's about him getting out of jail for, like, the first time in 10 years. Mm-hmm. And him trying to reconnect with his daughter. And she's now, like, 13.
Yeah.
So she obviously hates him. So he's trying to, like, reconnect with her. Like, I don't know. I thought the actress that played that girl was actually really good. Like, it's not a great script. Her character's not good. But I actually thought that young actress...
It's not hard to one-up the daughter in this film.
Yeah, like, I actually thought that actress did a decent job playing the role. And I actually thought her and Triple H had a decent amount of chemistry as daughter and father. And, you know, again, it's not a very good movie, but there were some jokes that were kind of worth a chuckle. So at the end of the day, I was like, you know, I didn't hate the movie. If I had kids, I wouldn't pay money for my kids to see that movie. But if my kids wanted to watch it on Netflix, I'd be like, yeah, sure, that's fine. I would never let my kids see this piece of crap. I let them see the first Jingle All The Way, but I would never let them see it. This movie sucks.
Oh, man.
This movie is terrible. It's just another...
I think we've reiterated that a few times now.
F-.